I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest before I lose my mind completely. My name is Sarah, I'm 28, and for the past 2 years, I've been seeing Dr. Marcus Hoffman for anxiety and depression. He came highly recommended, had stellar reviews, and his office felt like a safe haven with its warm lighting and that stupid motivational poster about growth that read, "Healing begins with truth." 3 weeks ago, Dr. Hoffman died in what police called a tragic home accident, carbon monoxide poisoning from a faulty furnace in his basement. I was devastated. This man had literally saved my life, talked me through my darkest moments after discovering what my father had done to me as a child, and helped me rebuild myself after my messy divorce from Tom. His practice partner, Dr. Elena Vasquez, called me personally to inform me about his death. Her voice was steady, professional, but I detected something underneath: relief. She asked if I'd like to continue therapy with her, mentioning that Marcus had left incredibly detailed notes about all his patients to ensure continuity of care. I agreed immediately, grateful that my progress wouldn't be lost. But here's where things get weird, and I mean seriously disturbing. During our first session, Dr. Vasquez seemed to know things about me that weren't in any notes I could imagine. She mentioned my habit of tapping my left foot exactly 3 times when nervous, something I'd never explicitly told Marcus, just something I did unconsciously during sessions. She knew about my recurring nightmare about drowning in my childhood pool, complete with specific details about the broken blue tile pattern I'd see underwater as I sank. She even referenced a conversation I'd had with Marcus about my irrational fear of yellow butterflies, which lasted maybe 30 seconds and was something I'd mentioned randomly 2 months ago. When I asked how she knew these microscopic details, she smiled and said Marcus was incredibly thorough in his documentation. Something felt off, like when you smell smoke but can't find the fire, but I dismissed it as post-grief paranoia. Then came the second session, and my world started cracking. Dr. Vasquez started discussing my relationship with my father, using exact phrases I'd used with Marcus. Not paraphrases, my exact words, including verbal tics and speech patterns. She mentioned how I described my dad's cologne as smelling like disappointment and false promises mixed with Old Spice and shame. Those were my precise words from a session 6 months ago. I remember because it was such a bizarre combination, and Marcus had actually laughed, a rare moment of genuine connection. She also knew that I'd called him Daddy until I was 12, when everything changed. She knew about the locked basement door, about the way he'd look at me during those terrible summer visits. Details I'd never want anyone to know, let alone remember with such clinical precision. After that session, I felt like bugs were crawling under my skin. That night, I called Dr. Vasquez's office and asked about Marcus's note-taking system. The receptionist, Monica, seemed genuinely confused. Notes? Honey, Marcus never took written notes during sessions. He said it interfered with genuine connection and made patients feel like specimens. He prided himself on his exceptional memory. That's why patients loved him so much. My blood turned to ice water in my veins. If Marcus never took notes, how did Dr. Vasquez know all these intimate, microscopic details about my deepest traumas and therapy breakthroughs? I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't function. For 3 days, I paced my apartment like a caged animal. Finally, desperation drove me to Marcus's house. I know it sounds insane, but I had to understand how Dr. Vasquez was accessing this impossible level of detail about my therapy sessions. The house stood empty with a bright red "For Sale" sign stabbed into the front lawn. I walked around the property twice, checking for security cameras or nosy neighbors. That's when I noticed something that made my pulse spike: a small basement window that had been left slightly open, just wide enough for someone slim to squeeze through. I know I shouldn't have, but I climbed through that window like my sanity depended on it. The basement was mostly empty boxes and furniture covered in dust sheets. But there was one room that made my heart stop beating entirely. It was set up exactly like Marcus's office upstairs, same brown leather chairs positioned at the exact same angle, same soft lighting, same fucking motivational poster about healing beginning with truth. But mounted on every wall were dozens of small recording devices, all meticulously labeled with patient names and date ranges written in Marcus's precise handwriting. I found mine immediately. Sarah Mitchell, Sessions 1 to 47, Memory Implementation Project. Memory Implementation Project? What the hell did that mean? With hands shaking so violently I could barely grip the devices, I grabbed several labeled with my name and ran like hell. I spent the next 6 hours in my locked apartment, listening to conversations I'd had with Marcus over the past 2 years. Every word, every sob, every breakthrough, every moment of vulnerability, all recorded without my knowledge or consent. The sound quality was crystal clear, like he'd had professional recording equipment hidden throughout his office. But then I heard something that made me physically vomit all over my coffee table. On one of the recordings from 3 months ago, after I'd finished my session and left his office, I could hear Marcus making a phone call. His voice was different, clinical, excited, completely devoid of the warmth he'd shown me minutes earlier. Elena? It's Marcus. Yes, she's responding perfectly to the trauma implantation therapy. The childhood abuse memories are becoming more vivid and emotionally integrated each session. No, she doesn't suspect anything yet. The false memories are taking hold beautifully. She genuinely believes her father molested her now, and she's cut all contact with her family just like we predicted. Yes, the session recordings are crystal clear. We'll have enough material for the research paper by Christmas. This will revolutionize memory manipulation therapy. I dropped the device like it was on fire. Implanted memories? False memories? Research paper? My father never touched me, never hurt me, never did anything inappropriate. Those memories that had been tearing my soul apart for months, the reason I'd destroyed my relationship with my family, the trauma that had consumed every waking moment, none of it was real. Marcus had systematically planted these memories through subtle suggestion techniques over dozens of sessions. But the recordings revealed something that made my blood freeze in my veins. I heard Dr. Vasquez's voice clearly in several recorded phone calls. She wasn't just his practice partner, she was his co-researcher and equal partner in this psychological torture experiment. They were running this sick project together on multiple patients, destroying families and lives for their fucking research. The Peterson case is yielding absolutely fascinating results, I heard Elena say in one recording, her voice dripping with scientific excitement. His implanted memories of war trauma are so vivid and emotionally integrated now that he's developed legitimate PTSD symptoms requiring medication. The mind truly cannot distinguish between real and fabricated trauma when introduced through proper therapeutic manipulation. We're going to be famous, Marcus. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely hold the device. These monsters had destroyed lives, families, relationships, mental health, all for some sick research project that would make their careers. But then I heard something that changed absolutely everything. In the most recent recording, dated just 2 days before Marcus's death, I heard him on the phone with Elena, but his tone was completely different. Panicked, guilt-ridden, desperate. Elena, we need to stop this immediately. Sarah's starting to ask questions about inconsistencies in her recovered memories. She called her father yesterday asking about specific incidents that never happened. What if she figures out what we've done to her? And there's something else that's terrifying me. I think someone knows about our research. I found my office door unlocked yesterday morning, and some of the recording equipment had been moved. Marcus, calm down and think rationally. We're too close to finishing the study to stop now. Just a few more sessions with each subject, and we'll have enough data to publish groundbreaking research. No, Elena. I'm done with this nightmare. This is fundamentally wrong on every level. These people trust us with their deepest vulnerabilities. Sarah trusts me completely. I'm going to tell her the truth tomorrow and help her recover her authentic memories. If you do that, Marcus, you'll destroy both our careers and face criminal charges. Everything we've worked toward for 5 years will be gone. I don't care anymore about careers or recognition. I can't sleep at night knowing what we've done to these innocent people. The guilt is eating me alive. There was a long, chilling pause. Marcus, please think carefully about what you're saying. Think about what you're risking. Think about what could happen to you. I've made my decision, Elena. I'm calling Sarah first thing tomorrow morning and scheduling an emergency session. I'm going to tell her everything and help her heal from what we've done. The recording ended there. Marcus died that night in his basement from carbon monoxide poisoning. I sat in my apartment staring at these devices, understanding with crystal clarity that Marcus hadn't died in an accident. He'd been murdered by his own research partner because he developed a conscience and wanted to confess their crimes. But here's the thing that's been keeping me awake for 3 weeks straight. Dr. Vasquez has no idea I have these recordings. She thinks I'm just another victim whose therapy she's seamlessly continuing. She believes her secret is completely safe. And I've been playing along perfectly. For the past 2 weeks, I've been attending my sessions with Dr. Vasquez, pretending everything is normal while secretly recording every single word she says on my phone. I've been gathering evidence of her continuing the memory manipulation experiments, documenting her attempts to reinforce the false memories Marcus implanted in my brain. Yesterday, she made a crucial, career-ending mistake. During our session, she referenced something that wasn't in any of Marcus's recordings. She mentioned a conversation she claimed Marcus had documented about my fear of enclosed spaces and how it related to my recovered abuse memories. But I've listened to every single recording multiple times, Marcus, and I never discussed claustrophobia. Not once. Ever. Dr. Vasquez had slipped up and revealed her own memory from when she was secretly observing our sessions. That's when I realized the most horrifying truth of all. Dr. Vasquez had been watching my therapy sessions with Marcus. Live. Hidden cameras, two-way mirrors, or some other surveillance method I hadn't discovered yet. She'd been studying my psychological breakdown in real time, contributing to their sick research project from the very beginning, taking notes on my reactions as they systematically destroyed my mental health. Now I'm sitting here with enough evidence to destroy her career and send her to prison for Marcus's murder. But I'm absolutely terrified. This woman killed her own research partner to protect their secret. What would she do to me if she discovered I know the truth? I've copied all the recordings to cloud storage and hidden physical copies in multiple locations. I've written detailed letters explaining everything and stored them with 3 trusted friends with strict instructions to open them if something happens to me. But here's my impossible dilemma. I have my final session with Dr. Vasquez tomorrow at 3 p.m. She doesn't know I know the truth. This is my one chance to get a recorded confession, to get her to admit to Marcus's murder and the memory implantation experiments on multiple victims. The problem is, I'd have to go into that room alone with a woman who's already killed once to protect her secret. My rational mind screams to go straight to the police with what I have. But the recordings alone might not be enough to prove murder. The police ruled Marcus's death an accident, and Elena could claim the experiments were legitimate research with consent forms I don't remember signing. Without a confession from Dr. Vasquez, she might destroy all evidence and disappear to continue her work elsewhere. I keep thinking about all the other patients she mentioned in those recordings. People whose lives have been systematically destroyed by implanted traumas that never happened. Families torn apart by false memories. Individuals suffering from psychological wounds that were artificially created for research purposes. If I don't stop her, she'll continue destroying innocent lives. But if I confront her and something goes wrong, I might not survive to tell this story. I've been staring at my phone for hours, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wants to call Detective Morrison right now and hand over everything. But another part of me knows that if Dr. Vasquez walks free, she'll just set up shop somewhere else and continue her horrific experiments on new victims who trust her completely. The appointment is in 18 hours. I've already decided I'm going to wear a wire and try to get her confession on tape. But I'm terrified that she'll somehow sense I know the truth. What if she's as skilled at reading people as Marcus was? What if she realizes I'm trying to trap her? What if I never make it out of that office alive? Because in 18 hours, I'll be sitting across from a woman who murdered her own partner in cold blood, and I'll have one chance to make this right. What would you do in my situation? Would you risk everything to try to get justice for Marcus and help the other victims? Or would you take what evidence you have and run, knowing that a killer is still out there destroying innocent lives for research?